Peace. What's good? After Elemental,
This is D Chorus.
and this is Through Our Lens. We a show where we talk about things from our perspective, different perspectives. We are men who have a certain view on life, who did a certain amount of living, and we want to talk about, some of the things that's on our mind.
Yeah, definitely. You know what I'm saying? One of the things we're going to touch on today is just about marijuana. To me, marijuana is like the new crack, right? It's people don't want to say it, but you look at the addiction with it. There's a lot of addiction with it. People don't talk about. In the high school, there's a high volume of usage of marijuana in the morning, afternoon, um, before school class, after class, during class. Um, it's not really being addressed with the new legalization situation in New York. Like, what's some of the things you feel on that, right?
Yeah, it's kind of disturbing. Not kind of disturbing, it is disturbing because I know people use different substances for different reasons, but it feels like a, a over self medication of people who are actually not even legally supposed to be using it, right? This is underage people. And they it's like I don't see self control with it.
Yeah.
I don't see any self control. I see like I know people who's like they get up in the morning, they gotta get high, right? And then they gotta smoke some more because they gotta get outside. They feeling anxious about getting out. Like deal with the underlying issue, right? People are using it because some of them is because there's an underlying issue. There may be anxiety, there may be frustration, there may be these different things. And I feel as if a doctor's not prescribing it anything, they say it's illegal. Well, this country has not always been for the good of the people,
Yeah.
right? So, alcohol, they say, oh, alcohol, you're going to have a lot of people. Don't hate. Before I finish the statement, too, make sure you press subscribe, like, notifications. We need more subscribers so the YouTube algorithm could show us some love because we're not getting no love right now on YouTube, right? So, subscribe, like, share, all of that. But let me get back to that now. Yeah, I just feel like this country, like I said, has not always been for the benefit or the best for the people. Alcoholism, I mean, slavery, right? Uh, indigenous peoples being slaughtered. That was stuff that happened here, right? And I know the country can make a lot of money from marijuana, but nobody's talking about the side effects. A lot of drunk drivers, not drunk, but drivers under the influence,
Yeah, it's
right?
it's it's marijuana is $1 billion industry now.
Mm.
They say 20% of people believe in a country at 2019 smoke marijuana. Like 20% of the country, right?
Mm.
Um, so it's $1 billion industry now. So in New York City alone, we have this mass explosion of smoke shops, right? They are not even dispensaries; they're just smoke shops, and realistically, they are selling weed in these smoke shops. That's what's really going on. Is because the dispensary they have legalization to sell the marijuana. Smoke shops is it's funny because it's back in the days people got locked up for having smoke shops, right? So now
Right.
once we put a certain demographic and population on this and then put it in the stores is something totally different. So
Right.
marijuana is impacting people in an unprecedented way.
These smoke shops are not owned by any black people that I know of. They're owned by different nationalities, different groups of people.
Well, a lot of them are owned by Arabs, um, which is it's unique and it's funny. Because we used to get locked up for marijuana at one time. Now it's marijuana is legal. So and people don't understand the ramifications and the impact that it have. Like what I'm saying, marijuana. Some of the side effects of marijuana is long term is erectile dysfunction. Like
Mm.
some people don't even know that. Like so from a substance abuse counselor standpoint, it's like long term effect is that mean that your manhood is not going to be able to get up, right? You know what
Wow.
I'm saying? Short term memory. possible links to cancer. So these are just some of the things. And people smoke marijuana with grabba, cigars, all the other cancerous material that's going to have a long-term effect. So if you're looking at somebody that's smoking at 14 and 15, and then they're at 24, 25, that's 10-year damage that they did to their lungs that we're not even looking at.
Wow. I just thought of something. I mean, not to make light of anything, but I remember somebody didn't say erectile dysfunction. They said reptile dysfunction. I just remember that. Just popped in my head, just a random thought. But let's get back to the seriousness. Um, the side effects, as you mentioned, and side effects. So I did not know that erectile dysfunction was a side effect of marijuana. Um, I know that a lot of times, it's supposed to be like some people use it to bring themselves down. Some people get paranoid. Like I know somebody, this is an interesting marijuana story, but somebody I know, very close, smoking weed, and two of them sitting on the couch, and one of them's crying, and it was like, "Why are you crying?" He said, "You didn't see my legs get up and walk out." Know another guy. I remember we supposed to have a rhyme cipher. This guy smoked some weed, and he was standing facing the corner of the room, just laughing, like facing the corner. And he just stayed there. He just didn't move. He just kept laughing. And we was like, I guess we're not gonna have a cipher now. This is like it is what it is. But um I've known people who smoke certain types of weed and forgot how to breathe. Like,
Well, it's a lot of chemicals input into it now. It's
right.
infused. When you look at certain places, I remember I went to Vegas, or Cali, and you go into this rest, they ask you how you want to feel. You want to be up or down, like what I'm saying. You want to be mellow, or you want to be tired, like, or you want something to put you to sleep. So the espresso is chemically engineered to set a certain condition, right? But in the urban areas or in the streets, you don't really know what you're getting. Like it can be laced with fentanyl. We really don't know. So to me, I think certain weeds are laced with fentanyl because of the repetitiveness of smoking so much.
Mm,
Like if you smoke 30 minutes ago and now 30 minutes later you want to smoke again, it's something with that.
I would think that the effect would last longer, right? But 30 minutes, that's a lot. Like I remember I had this project I did when I was running a GED program in a not-for-profit, right? I was doing computer training, teaching them how to kind of bring up their reading scores and their math scores, but using the computer. And we did a project on marijuana back then. This was, I want to say, 2000 actually, 2000. And we had people in the program who sold it, and we had people in the program who purchased it, right? So I was like, okay, let's do. I say, listen, there's no right or wrong, no judgment. I just want to know if you believe marijuana is good, write about it and cite your reasons, right? And if you believe it's bad, write about it and cite your reasons. Ultimately, when I got the papers back and we was reading stuff out loud without naming who wrote it, um, most people who bought it was like marijuana is natural, it's from the earth. The story that you hear, right? God meant us to have it because blah 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 blah. And then the people who sold it was like, I'm here to make money, so I spray bug spray on it. I spray polyurethane on it. Um, some people was like we dip it in embalming fluid that we get from the funeral home that they use to clean out the cadavers, right? Um, and they were talking about all the stuff they put in it. So it started a conversation without me having to be in the middle of it. The people who sold it started having conversations with their customers now, and they would say, "But why did you put all that stuff in it?" And they cussed. They said, "Because it gets you high. That's why." And then the people who were purchasing it, they was like, they said to me, Mister, I'm scared now because some of the stuff they talking about causes cancer. I said, exactly. And it was like, but I can't stop using it.
But and that's the thing. Nobody. That's why I call it the new crack, right?
Right.
It's the new crack that's cool
Mm,
because a lot of people do it, but they really can't stop.
right.
Working with kids, I work with young people. It's like, hey, You got to do a drug test. Oh, I don't want the job, right? You don't want the job because you don't want to stop smoking weed.
Right.
So if that's not addictive behavior, that this is something you can't do without, right?
Right.
You can't come to work high, right? Yo, you smell like weed. I just smoke, but you do know this is a job. You can't. So the addiction is already there. People are not really, touching on or talking about it. We was talking earlier, and not to say allegedly, when you look at certain jobs people have, you don't know if they're high.
Right.
Right? We was talking about the plane situation, right?
Yes. Yes.
So
we was talking about these near misses on the planes. You hear about, this plane's about to take off. This plane was about to hit the plane. There was another one. This plane's flying in the air. And I asked the question, was they high on marijuana or did they recently smoke it? Because, and I'm not trying to blame it, but I'm trying to be realistic, right? If you say, okay, marijuana is legal and somebody smokes a joint before they go to work, right? They smoke something, they go to work, and then they drive in the car and they get into a car accident, I expect to hear more of this because now something that that alters your mood, it's a mood altering thing. You're not supposed to get behind the wheel of the car. And we was talking about this earlier too. There's a lot of people who either driving by on the highway, I see them in their car, whatever the case, and they are lighting up.
Yeah, just smoking.
Right? And smoking, and then they hit the road like nothing. And we were talking about that and drunk driving. So driving while under the influence, marijuana, there are things happening.
Yeah.
I expect to see more critical work mishaps. I expect it because I know that it slows your response time. People think that it enhances you. It actually slows you down. It dulls you down, right? So they're taking this. They're doing. I'm not. Let me just say, hypothetically, air traffic controllers. You know what I'm saying? Hypothetically, bus drivers. Hypothetically, plane operators, public servants who are now doing this because it's legal now, and they go to work and people's lives are at risk, right? It would be insane to be like, yo, this doctor was high off marijuana and botched the operation, right? But I don't, I wouldn't be surprised if it did.
Yeah, it's just because a lot of people are using it now to deal with anxiety, to sleep. So it's other things they're using it for, but not realizing, if constantly using it, it's addiction there. And I think people need to just look up what addiction is. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because we are not doctors and stuff like this, but you know what I'm saying? When it comes to marijuana, when it comes to just the addiction part, we are speaking about the addiction part, right? People don't have jobs and spending, hey, this is Zaza, right? So I'm spending $80 for 3.5 grand, which they consider the eighth in the hood, right? You're spending this amount of money for a zip, right? You don't even have a job. You don't have a bank account, right?
Right.
But we got money to get these things, and that reminds me of the back in the days, some of the crack addicts. Like, so this is my thing is, when I work with the kids, I say, yo, the dope fiends back in the days had a kit. It was a drug kit, right? They had the spoon, they had a lighter, they had a needle, and they had cotton.
Right. Something to tie their arm to.
Yes,
Right.
and with the rubber, right?
Right.
With the weed today, they got their own kit, right? They got the tray, they got the cruncher, they got the grava, they got the lighter, and then they got the paper. Right? It's similarities.
Right.
It's not the same impact because it's not talked about as much. And it's legal now.
Do you think that it normalized addiction? Because I think there's two things. Looking at people who's hooked on opioids and not calling them what they called us back in the day when our people was hooked on opioids. We was no good, right? And we belong under the jailhouse, right? But now that the people who are hooked on opioids don't look like us, right? And now it's a human crisis, right? Yeah. Now it's something different. Does marijuana also normalize addiction? Because now it's going to increase. A lot of these things are being marketed to underage people, because there's an age limit, right?
Yeah.
What's the age limit? What, 21? Did they say?
21. Yeah. 21.
Okay, so a lot of these stores got candy that look like kids' candy, right? All of this stuff. So I feel like there's a targeting, a purposeful targeting of underage people, and there is a normalizing of addiction, like addiction is okay. Not to say people who are addicted are bad people. It's not a good behavior to have. So I'll go on record and say that addiction is not a good behavior. I don't know how therapists talk to people. I don't know how they framing it in the medical field. It's not a good thing to be addicted, right? So where is these? I'm pretty sure they said they're going to come up with programs to help with addiction, but they're making money off addiction, right? This is not like when I was growing up in high school, decades ago. My teachers used to tell me about their drug use. They were white teachers. Oh, I took some acid.
Yeah.
I tripped on this. I snorted some cocaine. I felt this way. I smoked some marijuana. I felt this way. And they would tell the students about it. And they was using while they didn't stop, right? But they would say things like this. You hear things like, well, I only use on the weekends though.
They used to call them weekend warriors.
Yeah, recreational
yes.
users, right? I do it when I'm with my friends. That's not what I'm saying to marijuana today.
Yeah,
Dudes are smoking every day.
Every day and everywhere.
Every day, everywhere, on the train.
On the bus.
Oh my goodness, on the train. Yo, dudes be lighting up on the train and then be like, what? Like, you're not supposed to say nothing to them on the train. Now, I'm sure that if everybody if you ride the train like I do, take a look at the things posted on the train. I guarantee you one of them's going to say no smoking. And here's another thing that people may not be aware of. Smoking marijuana is still smoking. Okay? It's, even with the vapes, but they be vaping on the train, but they be lighting up like every time I take the train. So I tend to take the back of the train. I'm gonna tell you this funny one, then you finish it. You can talk some more. I get on the back of the train, dude smoking marijuana. And I'm already in the train, right? So I gotta go through the car to get to the next car. Dude in the next car smoking marijuana too. I had to go 3 cars in. I'm like, oh my God. And it stunk, bro. It was the nastiest smelling stuff I ever smelled.
The funny thing to that is marijuana, if your family have any psychosis, mental health issues, marijuana increases that.
Yes.
Right? It increases the schizophrenia and other things like that because it goes straight to the brain. Marijuana is a cognitive function drug. So, a lot of that's why the short-term memory, like you can get high and forget where you put your keys at, right? Or some people get high, forget where they parked at because it affects you a different way. And I think people are not looking at the impact.
Right.
Short-term or long-term, because like I say, billions of dollars. I think it's gonna make $2 billion, marijuana. It's gonna make $2 billion this year alone. So that's a lot of money. So when you look at marijuana in the totality, it is another revenue stream for the government because now they're legalizing it. So you're talking about people that make the cigars, you're talking about people that make the paper, who make the cruncher, who make the grava. Like you ain't even get to the weed yet, right? So you got people. They have certain restaurants now where they got weed infused in the food. So it's almost like Amsterdam, like
Right.
where you can just get the drugs. Somebody said a long time ago you're gonna be able to go to a vending machine and get crack, dope, whatever you want to do because this is how it's starting to navigate.
And like my question is like, how does that make the society better, right? Instead of dealing with an issue, you embrace the issue, and I'm gonna say it. You're gonna see a decline in society, right? Nobody's gonna want to stand up and fight or do certain things that they need to be done because now everybody getting high, right? So there's not going to be a situation where people are going to be motivated to achieve a certain level. I just feel it, man. Like not putting your best foot forward. Because like people smoke it, they get relaxed, right?
Yeah.
They get relaxed. So if something's going on in our community and you just relaxing, but you're not trying to really get down to the nooks and crannies of the community and deal with issues, then things are not going to change for us for the better.
And that is it's killing your drive.
Yeah,
Like, we know some people can smoke weed and play basketball and lift weights. And, you know what I'm saying? There's anonymous to everything. But a lot of people are not doing the same thing.
Right.
There's some people that wake up, smoke, and go right back to sleep. That's their day, right? So everybody got to make their own decision about what they want to do. Like, you know what I'm saying? Our job is just to bring the information, and what our experience is seeing it. And I think, like, we're not knocking anybody. But like I said, there are 1,400 smoke shops in New York City, right? And this is on record that a majority are there illegally.
Right.
So once again, it is a money-making machine that they're gonna take advantage of, and capitalize off people trauma as well.
I think we're in a society that, in a world, I'm gonna say, that people profit from poison, right? And I'm gonna say it that way, and people are gonna be mad. Oh, you're a hater. No, I'm not a hater, but poison food, poison behavior, poison drinks to consume, and poison drugs, right? So people use stuff that's not going to benefit your life and enhance your life. Like it made me think about the industry. As you know, I had some run-ins, dealings in the music industry. And I remember when it was time for somebody to sign a contract and they get high, they smoke, and they give them something to drink, and they give them some coke, might have some girls top them off, right? And then they sign the contract, and it's a terrible contract, right? And then you have a conversation with them weeks, months, years later, and they never remember signing the damn contract. I had a situation where I was dealing with an artist who signed a contract with somebody and didn't even remember signing the contract.
Wow.
And was talking about signing to me. And as I started making moves to sign this artist, their manager contacted me and was like, cease and desist. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And it was like, I got a contract on him. You do? He was like, yeah, I got a contract on him. So the person was like, no, I don't got no contract. I said, I can't talk to you no more because somebody got a contract on you and you don't even, he was like, I don't remember signing it. What was y'all doing? I remember partying a little bit, but I don't remember nothing else after that.
Yeah, after the party.
There you go. And listen, I met this guy, he signed a contract that was a 21-year contract, a recording contract for 5 points. 5 points is nothing. And he signed a 21-year contract.
That's
They get you high, they get you messed up, the girls hit you off, now you're over the moon, then they slide the paper. Boom, boom, slide the paper to you, and now you stuck.
yeah. Yeah, because you're in that fog, that haze, and that's what people are now, just getting high. And especially coming out of the pandemic, right? I don't know what the pandemic did to us, but the go-to is weed.
Yeah, we
Right.
lost a lot during the pandemic.
Like, that psychologically did a lot to people mentally.
Yep.
So, that's the coping mechanism that people are using. But like I said, to me, it's a crisis. I think it's an American crisis now that not everybody, but so many people are smoking weed, and especially the young kids, man. When you got middle school kids, I know people smoked it back in the days, but when you see the middle school kids now getting high, they're not gonna come to a program. They're not gonna go to after school program, right? They're not gonna go to basketball practice, right? Because they can't function.
Right.
The addiction is what it is, and that's why I think the disparity gap and wealth gap continue to just get wider and wider because we are consumed with so much, man.
I know a young lady who was smoking. Well, before she started smoking, she told me she had asthma, right? And so I said, so what you doing for your asthma? She said, well, I'm smoking weed. So my mom was like, is she saying that she's smoking weed for her asthma? So I asked her that, and she said, well, I'm not, yeah, it's natural. I said, so answer me this. Is your asthma worse or better not just smoking weed? She says it's worse. I said, because smoking weed is smoking. So the act of smoking damages your lungs. The act of doing it. If you could smoke toilet paper for all I care, but it's going to damage your lungs because you're putting it in your lungs. And she argued with me. When I said that, I was, because for some reason, you'll have people that say weed is healthy. I don't understand if you took basic biology in school, how you could even say putting any kind of smoke into your lungs is healthy. It destroys the oxygen transfer. It inhibits that. That's why people who smoke, you get them on a basketball court and they get tired and they start huffing and puffing because their body can't get the oxygen because their lungs can't transfer it as fast because you destroy some of the sacs, right? People don't talk about this stuff. And then the other thing with weed is pretty interesting, which is going to be later in our conversation. A lot of black people don't have life insurance because if you do something that's considered an unhealthy lifestyle like smoke, either your policy is going to be high, the monthly premium, or they're not going to give you one. Like that's the option because in order to get life insurance, worthwhile policies, you have to be in fairly good health.
Well, let's talk about the life insurance since
Yeah.
you brought it up. I don't think a lot of people understand the importance of life insurance, or just the importance of having it.
Right.
Plenty of times we see people with the GoFundMe and asking for donations, um, because they thought they were young or the person was young that no life insurance was really even gotten. So, as a life insurance person, why do you think a lot of people don't get life insurance at an early age?
Um, when you're young, it's kind of out of sight, out of mind, right? Most young people think they're going to live forever. They don't, it's like there's a fear of talking about death, right? There's this thing, I don't want to talk about it. I might manifest it somehow. Some people have these beliefs, right? But here's a hardcore reality. I'm going to tell you the reality from my personal life. Um, when I got married 20 something years ago, my wife and I both got policies, right? Both was young. Me as a young man, policy lapsed. I didn't even remember that it lapsed, right? Out of sight, out of mind. And then in 2010, my mom gets sick.
Wow.
Right? My mom gets sick. She had an illness where her liver was shutting down. Right? And be running around, and I'm trying to take her to appointments and do all of that stuff. And she said she had a policy. Right? So I said, okay. So when that time comes, this should be okay. She passes. Right? 2010, she passes. I believe it was the same day Michael Jackson passed. I'm almost certain of that. So my mother passed, and we go to the house and we dig through the stuff and we find a policy. My mother was paying for a whole life policy that was only worth $5,000.
What is a whole life policy?
Whole life. So whole life means you're paying for the policy practically for your whole life. The policy lasts your whole life. If you live to be 100 years old, the policy is in effect. Now, I'm going to say this. I'm a life insurance agent in New York, Texas, and Connecticut. The whole life policies tend to be a lower payout, but your monthly premium is higher. That's whole life. They also have universal life, same thing. Index life, same thing. In regards to lower payouts, meaning your death benefit. If somebody passes away, they may say we give you $50,000, right? Your beneficiary would get 50,000. So let me just say this other thing about life insurance. Life insurance is not for you, right? You're buying life insurance, and this is going to tie into the story I'm giving you about my life experience. You're paying for life insurance so you can be buried without your family taking up a GoFundMe, or family coming out of pocket to bury you, right? And you have some money left for someone, a dependent, or you have assets to protect. Like you have a house and you might be married. So if you pass away, your spouse is left with the whole burden of the entire house because your income is gone now. So life insurance was called income protection.
That was
That's
the
what it's called,
original income.
right? And initially, when it started, it was only term life. No whole life, no universal life, no index life. It was called term life.
And what's term life?
Term life. It's interesting. You get a car, you buy, you get insurance.
Okay.
If you don't have a car, do you need insurance?
No.
So term life is you pay for this insurance for a term in your life, right? 15 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, up to 35 years in some states. But here's the thing I like about, because I sell term life.
Okay.
This is what I like about term life. The monthly premiums are the lowest. Term life is the most inexpensive life insurance you could get, but it pays out the most. Now, what do I mean by that? Because I'm gonna get a lot of life insurance people who's gonna be like, "Oh, that's false." If comparatively, if you compare policies, term life's payout is greater for less money. Now, they have whole life and index universal life and all these other life policies that can pay you out more money, but you're going to get slaughtered in monthly payments. So some of the monthly payments could be car notes,
Wow.
mortgages, right? But in term life, based on your health, right? Based on your health, you can get very inexpensive. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you an example of prices. I got a family member who's 28 years old, a $500,000 term life policy, and he's paying $30 a month for 30 years.
That's not bad. Can some life insurance companies deny you, like you
Yes.
risk?
If you have risky behavior, skydiving, certain things that's risky, they consider if you're not in good health, right? If you're not, so generally you would go take a health screening. They call it parameds. You get a health screening when you're interested in the policy because they want to see, they're going to check you for tobacco. They're going to check you for any medications. They're going to take blood work and they're going to see if you have this stuff in your blood work. And then sometimes they would still let you have the policy, but at a higher rate because you're a higher risk, right? So my thing with the marijuana and all of this is for some reason, we are encouraged to have an unhealthy lifestyle. For some reason, y'all know what the reason is. You're in hip hop, right? We in hip hop. We know what the reason is. We got a lot of weapons formed against us, right? That shall not prosper. But the weapons are there nevertheless. Bad food, bad behavior, bad drinks, sodas, all this stuff, right? We live this unhealthy lifestyle, which means we have a shorter lifespan.
That's yeah.
It translates to that.
Yeah.
We have a shorter lifespan because we have an unhealthy lifestyle and an unhealthy mental state.
Because
Right.
we're starting to see a lot of our peers die young, right? So when you used to hear people passing away, it used to be older people, like not in their 40s and 50s now.
Yes.
So, and that's like almost becoming the norm now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Reaching 50 now is a milestone.
Mhm.
Right? It's a milestone because it's so sad because we're not looking at the consequences from what we're doing.
Right.
And it's going back to what you're saying about they promote the unhealthy lifestyle. Everything is unhealthy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Being a thug is unhealthy. It's no retirement plan in that. It's no safety. Selling drugs it's all these things is unhealthy. And it's promoted in a high fashion. Even, certain things that's on social media. Like we just partake in so many things.
It's all designed, in my opinion, to get rid of us. Right. It's this wholesale get rid of us and let them kill themselves kind of thing. But let me finish the story about So I gave you a little rundown on life insurance. And again, like, subscribe, share. If you want to schedule an appointment with me in the life insurance, there's going to be a link on the banner, and it's going to also be in the comment section, right? When you look at this video, I'm going to take appointments. You fill out the form. You can take appointments if you want to have a free consultation. I don't just do life insurance, but I'm also studying for my Series 6 investment, right? But the thing is, life insurance is a part of getting your financial well-being straight, because it's a financial well-being. And big ups to Dr. Boyce Watkins. I'm a subscriber to his channel. I pay money to his platform. He's been a wealth of information. I'm also with Primerica. They're a wealth of information. Big ups. But back to the story. So my mother passes away. We found out that she had only 5,000, right? So being Muslim, you could get a decent burial for 5,500, right? We trying to get this done. One of my sister who took charge, the bill became 12,000. And she said, "Oh, mom had another life insurance policy for additional 4,000." But when they found out that it was just short term, it was short, like she had just applied for it, but she was already unhealthy, and she lied on the form.
So they did.
So they denied that policy. Boom. So we had to come up with the rest of the money. Okay. 2 years after that, my father takes ill. So I asked my dad. Well, when my mother died, I took him. I said, "Hey, Dad, you got a policy?" And that made me think about my policy. Remember, I told you I let mine lapse. So I was like, "Let me go." My wife said, "Go get a policy." But at that time, I wasn't selling policies. I went and got a policy. I said, "Dad, you got a policy?" He said, "I think so." I said, "If you think so, you probably don't have one." He's like, "No, no, no. Your sister's going to take care of that for me." So I was like, "Okay." That was weird. Boom. He takes ill 2 years later. He passes away. Zero policy.
Wow.
What my sister told me was they denied his policy that she took out on him because he was already sick. Right? So people paying attention, do not go apply for a policy when you're terminally ill. The point is to get one before that happens, when you're healthy. Right? He passes away. His funeral was expensive. We had to come out of pocket.
Again.
A month after he passed, my nephew Artis passed. He was a preemie, and I'm never going to forget his name, right? Artis, he was a preemie. Nobody really gets life insurance on a baby. That's something that nobody does. So I just want to tell you the sequence. 2 months after Artis passed, his grandmother passed. No life insurance. This is my oldest sister. No life insurance. We had to all come out of pocket, bury my sister. Fast forward. Oh, mind you, when my father passed, 17 of my friends or acquaintances died the following year. 17. All right? I'm paying attention to this now. Like, damn, a lot of people dying, right? So much so that when I tried to return to college to finish my degree and told them what happened, and 17 people died, and my father and my sister and my nephew and my mother, they was like, "You can't come back to school until you go to therapy." So they put me in therapy. I had to go to therapy for them to approve me to come back to school, right?
Wow.
So that's another thing, right? Mental health, right? 2018, I'm now in college doing my master's degree. My sister, who helped my mother and my father, she passes away. She had life insurance. Her husband took care of that. Cool. It was still shocking. She passed from cancer, and opioids tied into it. They was giving her that for the pain. Pandemic hits. 2020, my brother passed away, and I was close to him, right? No life insurance again. So we all had to take up a collection and just bury him. And nobody had the money because we was on a lockdown. Remember, people lost their jobs. I was laid off from like almost every job. We had to squeeze this money together and just do it.
That seemed like when I was small, it seemed like it was a current thing that a lot of people didn't have life insurance. Like
It's still a thing.
we will be, you'll see the sign up there, donate to, Miss Barbara or whoever it was, and
Donate to the family.
yeah, I don't think we looked that much into it.
Because we was young, right? Young people don't have a thought of carrying on and who's left after, or what's left after, right? So my mother left us, we didn't have anything. We didn't get anything other than family members getting a few of her possessions, which wasn't worth a lot, right? It was just things, sentimental value. My father didn't have anything, right? My sister didn't have anything, right? I'm talking about the first sister who passed. My brother didn't have anything who passed, right? And what some people be like, why would I get it? Why would I get life insurance? Because when you die, you leaving a bill. You are literally leaving a hardship for your family. And it was difficult for me because some people I know who passed away was living a best life. They was smoking nice, they was drinking nice, they was having all the drugs they wanted, and they didn't. The comparatively, if you got a term life policy, it's almost pennies a day, right?
And people don't want to pay.
I'm talking about term life. It's almost pennies. Like people spend more on sneakers than they spend on a life insurance policy, right? They spend more on a cell phone, a laptop, a game system, video games. They spend thousands of dollars on this, but you could get a policy for $30 a month. And comparatively, depending on your circumstance, but you get a policy for $30 a month.
I think that's a mentality that we have. Of not looking at the future. Like we don't see a future with ourselves. Like
right.
It's a limited way of thinking,
but it's a way to shortchange your children, right? The people who come after you. So here's another thing, benefit of life insurance. And I'm not saying this as people should do this as a strategy, but I'm just saying in general. If you have nothing to leave your children, right? Which is a bad thing within itself.
Most definitely.
Because you're supposed to be out there and building something to leave your children, right? We fall short as Black people. A lot of us fall short on this part. Life insurance creates an instant estate upon your death. So I said, if you're paying for a policy and you pass away within the 20 to 30 years your policy lasts, and it's $500,000, your beneficiary gets that. Another thing I'm going to tell you, because there's a lot of people going to tell you about a whole bunch of stuff that's tied to life insurance that's really tricky. One thing I'm going to tell you this, I didn't get into life insurance to make me rich. I'm telling you this right now. I don't make a whole lot of money, but I got my siblings' life insurance policies.
And I think that's powerful. My pops passed away while I was in prison.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That was impactful. But he had life insurance.
Mm-hmm.
When I came home, I was able to start afresh, without stressing about income.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that was the turning point for me in my life of how I went in the right direction. And I think if not had that cushion, so to say, or that support, I don't know how it would have turned out.
So this is why they call it income protection, because that you just honed in on the key purpose of life insurance. Life insurance is going to should give 5 to 10 years of your salary to pay for your dependents in case you pass.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get $50,000 a year and you get a $500,000 policy, your family can get that money, and that's equivalent to 10 years of your salary. So you're not struggling like, oh my God, you already got to deal with the loss of a person, right? But you're like, but I'm not desperate, and I can still. So here's some things you could use the proceeds for. I could go get a bachelor's degree and learn a new field that's going to help me earn more money. I can pay for the house or continue the mortgage payments on the house, right? I can take care of these responsibilities. This is not for you to go splurge, right? be responsible. So financial responsibility and discipline is something some of us need to learn. So this company that I'm with, we also looking for people who want to sell insurance. Primerica. Again, you'll see the information below. We're looking for people who are go getters and want to do this and want to make a living doing it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't make a lot. The reason why I don't make a lot is because I got in it for the reason of getting my siblings life insurance. I can't come out of pocket a sixth time. You understand what I'm saying? Like 5 times or 4 or 5 times, I already did that. It can't be no more of that, especially when people is, they have good employment, they have good job. I can't. It's just irresponsible.
But that's sorry to cut you off. That's what the elder should do, right? It's to give back because you have that wealth of knowledge
Mm-hmm.
and that experience to give back.
And that's what I'm trying to do. Like, there's ways to kind of set yourself up properly, right? And to make sure your children are not going to suffer excessively. They're going to suffer from the loss of you. But if they also suffering and they got to come out of their pocket, well, think about it. Your loved one your partner now got to carry all the weight for something that you could have simply solved by getting a policy, and at least they will not have to be towing all the weight because you was responsible enough to pay your monthly premiums, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that if your untimely passing occurs, they're not shell shocked into a traumatic situation.
And it also could be to help heal by getting some type of counseling, right? Because counseling costs a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
It's there's free counseling, of course, but for real professionals, you might have to pay.
Well, this, when you going through, because I went through this and I had to go to therapy, and they talk about the stages of grief and stages of loss. I didn't know what it was. I just was like, I'm just feeling weird. Like on a personal note, me and my mother didn't have the best relationship, right? My mother passed away, and I go through this every year. On the day she passed, I'm feeling weird.
Mm.
And I don't even remember there was a day she passed because I had a connection with her, right? I did have a connection with my mother.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why do I feel weird today? And then my wife would say, well, your mother passed on this day. And I was like, oh. So, but going through therapy and talking about those stuff is important too,
Yeah.
right? Especially when I told them 17 people I knew died in the same year, and then several family members. You got to deal with the grief, but it's better to deal with grief and not have a bill attached to dealing with the grief, right? And that's the thing that we do. Like, I feel like I'm an older person, right? People think at me. I don't know what you think my age is. Maybe that'd be a good thing. Type in below how old you think I am, right? You might be surprised. But people my age, we don't express ourselves the way we feel. We have these saying, oh, don't complain, don't do this. And I believe that to a great extent. But therapy is helpful. But the stress, because I lived through several family members and several friends passing away where they had to take up collections. I don't have money like that.
And people don't look at it like that. You can't you can prepare for something, but if you're not prepared, it can be impactful.
Oh, it's devastating.
Because you might be the only child and your parent passed away. If there's no life insurance, like how are you gonna maintain apartment or wherever you live at? Like how are you gonna go through your day to day? Because you might gotta take time off of work. It's so many factors that lead into that. And I want to tie that into something that we also gonna touch on our black people curse, right?
Oh,
So
that's a big question, and I'm gonna say,
you know,
part of it is a yes and a no, right? Just to finish off this life insurance thing right quick. When my brother passed away, I had to take some of my rent money to pay for his burial.
mm,
It was that option. Like, where you getting the money from? You got laid off. You had to take some of the rent money. That's real. That's real. But if a person had a policy, You don't have to do that because it's paid for, and then they could say the rest of the money could go here, where whoever gets it, right? But yeah, this thing about being cursed. So I'm gonna tell you, there's a yes and a no. I'm gonna clear this up. I did the research, so y'all could check it out. Slavery happened when Europeans said black people was cursed because of a part in the Bible that says Ham looked upon Noah's nakedness, and which was and Noah cursed his son Canaan. That's the first curse that a lot of Europeans use, and not just Europeans, a lot of people use to justify slavery. Well, Ham is going to what Canaan is going to be a servant to his brethren. Yeah, his brethren. You ain't his brethren. That was that, right? So that's I'm gonna say no in that. Okay. No in that part. That was a falsehood to justify enslaving black people, right? Enslaving us was not even technically black people, it's the tribe, right? And I'm gonna say the tribe because people gonna know what that means, right? But the answer is also yes, because we have behaviors that cause us to receive curses. It causes us. And we continue on upon those behaviors. And here's the saddest part. And some of the books you're gonna read, it says if you do this, this is gonna happen. And that's exactly what we do. And then we expect something different to happen, right? Well, you say, well, God loves me, therefore I'm gonna still do this thing he tells us not to do, but I expect God to save me. Really? If he say don't do it, and he tells you the consequence of doing it, and you do it anyway, you're gonna get the smackdown, right? So but look at our culture, like the things we embrace. And I'm talking from a modern day hip hop perspective. Because I'm gonna say that because I came from the old school, right? I came from the old school. I came from the KRS Ones, the Rock Cams. I came from that as a hip hop artist. I came from that. I was breakdancing. I was doing graffiti. All of that, right? I came from that b-boy and all of that. It was not what you see today. Today is addiction, misogyny, violence. That's today, right? All the stuff that's bad for us, that's literally guaranteed to get you killed, is tied into this modern day hip hop culture right now. It's guaranteed to get you killed. Even some of the drill music.
Well, the drill music, definite. We're gonna say like, share, subscribe. We're gonna take a quick break. Come right back.
Peace, y'all. We back. We got a special guest. It was Magic. Poof.
What up? It's your boy Will. Just here to learn and give out any jewels that I have.
That's what's up.
Okay. So we was previously talking about are black people cursed? Do you feel like black people are cursed?
I feel like we are, but I feel like we're cursed because it's to our own doing. Like I feel like a lot of it comes from the fact that we weren't taught better. As generations went down the line and things started to change, everything was being taught different. So what my grandmother was taught, she learned from her mother, which was supposed to be brought down to my mother. But times have changed. So what my grandmother was teaching my mother had to change with the time. And the same thing comes down from my mom down to me. Same thing with my dad. The learning curve had to change because things started changing around us. And I feel like we put ourselves in certain circumstances. We can blame the white man all day, but I feel like there's also parts that we play in this situation that caused us to be in these situations where we feel like nothing's going to change. I think one of the biggest curses we have is the victim curse.
Elaborate on that, bro. Elaborate on that.
The victim curses is every time something goes wrong, I have somebody to blame. Every time something
Outside of yourself.
outside of me, like
Okay.
I did nothing wrong. I did absolutely nothing. I got fired. I ain't do nothing. It was ABC fault that I got fired. I'm blaming ABC that I got fired because it's easy to transfer the blame to somebody else, and it's harder to take the blame, put the blame on yourself. The hardest thing for anybody to do, regardless of race, ethnicity, anything, is to put blame on oneself for their action.
Right.
And so this mentality that we have to find a reason outside of ourselves for our own failures always seems to be the thing that kind of holds us back into a way, because we never seem to say, yo, what can I do differently?
So with that statement, do you feel like the curse will be the demise of Black people, because we can't continue at this state we going now, because
At a certain point, Black people gonna have to learn that in order for us to move on, we're gonna have to figure out our part in the situation. We're never going to move forward if we don't figure out our part in the situation. We can blame slavery till the sun go down. But if we don't do nothing to change anything within ourselves, we're going to stay with that same mentality.
I got it, because this is heavy right here. I agree, right? We got stuck into victim mode so bad that we don't make the necessary adjustments ourselves to get out of the hole we are in, right? Because we are in a hole. It's a trap to me. It's a trap. Now, people who made the trap, they long gone. The trap is self-perpetuating now. It is not necessarily a group of people who maintain the trap. The trap doesn't want to die. The trap got a life of its own now. The trap is like, I'm here now, you're not gonna kill me. Right? Yeah. And my food that I eat is you, is your people. I eat you. So I'm gonna keep on eating you because that's what I do. Right? And the people, like I said, who created it, they gone. Right? They passed away. But this trap still gotta eat. This trap still has to survive. And instead of us saying, let's make sure we don't make a left over here because we know the trap got the knife and the fork and the plate and he's ready to eat. We want to blame the trap for eating, and we're not trying to avoid it. Avoid the trap. Don't go that way, right? And we're not making that transition. You said that knowledge is not being passed on the same way because of the learning curve. Most young people do not listen to adults. That is a curse. How do you attain wisdom if you're not getting it from people who already walk the walk, right? We're not sitting at the foot of our elders and listening to their stories. We out here like, yo, this is a new time, there's a new era. There's a saying, there's nothing new under the sun. You might have found a new way to package it. It's the same damn trick, right? An older person could tell you about the trick. But you don't want to hear from the older people. So now you're making decisions as a young person that's taking you down a path of, how would you say it? You're devaluing yourself. You're destroying your people to make a buck, right? And you're taking this change because you think it's something new. No, the old heads was doing that too. And they could tell you about, yo, this is a dead end at the end of the day, but you're not listening to them. So I agree with you, man. I think that we have to figure out a way to transfer the wisdom because our elders are passing.
And that's a hell of a point. The elders are passing, they're older, and we have to take care of the elders, right? So it's like, yo, how can we take care of the elders and we barely taking care of ourselves? So
if you're only thinking about yourself, you're not even thinking about, it's not even a thought. The young got to fight for the old. Old can't fight no more, right? But it's not a thought because the young is so caught up in, yo, this grind, I got to grind, I got to get this, I got to get that. The elders is passing away. They being moved out of their apartments. They being put in what they call it, senior homes. We're going to talk about this senior home thing because you know they absorb all your wealth when you put them in there.
Definitely.
It takes all your wealth. We can talk about that later. But yeah, so go ahead.
I'm saying I also believe that you talked about the the learning of from the elders in certain. I think the problem is that growing up, we always feel like we I'll speak for myself. It was a point of time where I felt like I knew better. I knew better than everybody else. So even if I was taking the advice, I wasn't taking it fully to heart. So even if I was like, someone's telling me, yeah, yo, you don't want to do this because X, Y, and Z, like a lot of people I grew up with who were in certain aspects of life, when the elders did come, they listened. But they didn't listen to heed the warning. It was, I listened, and now how do I not make that same mistake?
Right.
But how do I stay in the same game?
Right.
So it was like, so you got the old dudes who used to sell drugs on the block and all that stuff, and you got the new little drug dealers out here, and the old heads come out and say, yo, look, bro, this X, Y, and Z, you should do this, da 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 da. Still within the game. But the problem is that they're not trying to heed the warnings of, yo, if you don't stop here, this is not supposed to be like, everybody knows the drug game is not supposed to be a something where you're supposed to be in there 30 years running.
Yeah.
It's not a long-term goal.
It's not basketball.
It's not basketball. You can't LeBron James the drug game. You can't do it. You can't do it. That's why the old heads is where they at.
Yeah.
They here to tell you, look, this game don't last that long. You get what you can get and you get out.
Gotta run.
The problem is that the cats they're teaching are not trying to hear that they can't have a long run. It's, how can I have a long run? I hear what you're saying, but now I want to do. I want to have that long run, but I want to do it in a way where I have that stretch. How do I use what you told me and convert that into not getting locked or not getting caught up? And I think that's the problem. It's not that a lot of them are not listening. It's that their intentions on listening has drastically changed.
I think a lot of that come from, speak about the curse. The curse to me also is leaving a community. Not to say you got to be in the community and as you get to a certain wealth and status, stuff like that, but really being given back to the community and being involved in the community. Whether it be you building a program here, don't just come give toys and turkeys out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because after they eat that and the toy break, they still got to deal with tomorrow.
Yeah, don't need no brownness to death.
Yeah, like
don't need no brownness to death.
Superficial.
Small tangibles. I'm just saying that we're not giving back. Like, that's it's no give back anymore. Like, that's also the curse.
Right.
Like, it's no give back. And when you do try to give back, there's nothing to give back to.
Right.
Right? Because everybody then scattered. Right? If it's no food over here, you got to go to another town or somewhere else to try to eat. And that's what's really happening with our people. It's like the people that want to give back, it's like, yo, who do I give back to? Because the politicians are crooked, right? The people that's supposed to be in charge are crooked in these communities. And then people are not knowledgeable and educated enough to really maneuver, right? If you look at some of these programs that we need, yeah, if you're from the streets, you should be educated enough to try to get you a nonprofit to get a program because you know better what the community needs, right? Don't come back. We don't want to hear the gang stories and the war stories because that's not beneficial for the community as a whole. That's beneficial for you. It's not for the community as a whole. And that's the problem. There's no real give back. Like, everybody is painting a facade like they're really giving back. But what are you giving back to?
On that note, definitely check the link below because I do have a not-for-profit, Far Beyond Success Incorporated.
Check it out.
And I don't make money at it. We don't make money at what we're doing here. No. This is our give back. If we have money, we would give money. I guarantee you that. But we have knowledge. We have cameras. We have all of this stuff. We could give back, right? We could work
jobs.
with the youth. We could work with the youth, all that. Work with the youth. You want to get something done. We got a Patreon page. We got a Far Beyond Success Incorporated. It's the 501c3 not-for-profit. If you want to come learn film, come join us. Send us a message, within the comment section. And reach out to us. We always looking for people, but this is how we give back. Yeah. We telling our story. We trying to give advice. We kind of trying to give direction. You could also get something done here, right? That's our give back. But yeah, no superficial stuff, man. Like, I get frustrated. You know, for one whole summer during the pandemic, I gave away free groceries twice a week,
I ain't
and I
get none
noticed
of them.
stuff.
I ain't get no bread. I ain't
This,
get no peanut butter.
let me tell you the crazy one.
Selfish.
Let me tell you the crazy one. Let me tell you the crazy one. It makes you understand some state of some people when you're giving something away for free, right? So critical, free groceries. We got a link up with a farm. Farm drove a big truck. We dropped them right here on Schaumburg through CNC Management. Helped us with that. Great job, CNC Management. Um, but people came out. We got 500 boxes of full groceries. I'm talking fruits, vegetables, produce, meat, cheese, all that, milk, all that. Big boxes like this. It was no little boxes. It's farm fresh food, right?
Wow.
And first, it was hard to get people to help distribute it, but we eventually started getting people to help us distribute because it was just me and person who assists me on the board named Shirley. And then she got together. We started putting people together. We got tenants helping, but we had certain tenants who would get 2 boxes and come back and get 3 more boxes, and then come back and get 4 more boxes from different people. So we was like noticing, like, yo, why they got so many boxes? Yo, how they get these boxes? We had people coming in, all walks of life. I'm talking Asians, everybody was coming and getting these boxes. People was emptying the food out the box and leaving the boxes on the sidewalk.
Oh yeah, that's a
Right? So that's another issue. But we noticed that we could get people all day to come out for something for free and just get something. But when we needed somebody to give of their time and energy, it was small. So we noticed this as tenants associate. I'm a tenant leader. It's hard to get people to even do work to help their community. It's something wrong with that, right? We can't get, okay, I told you I got not for profit, all this stuff we do. We can't even get people to donate money. We could get young people to participate. They hungry for it.
Yeah.
But nobody seems to want to invest in them, right? Nobody want to invest in young people. We could complain about them and point our finger at them all day, right? But they trying to figure something out. So if you want to actually help them figure it out, right? To where it's beneficial for them and the community.
Yeah.
You think people just want to be out here being reckless? People who's reckless because they didn't see the other option. Maybe they couldn't envision it. How about helping them envision it? You know what I mean? People I want to get up in here and be like, yo, come learn how to shoot these cameras and let's make some media. And you can make money and I can make money. Let's do that. You want to record an album. You don't have studio time. You don't know. I know tons of people with studios. I got one.
Yeah.
Let's just come do it. Take the money off the table. Take the money off the table. Let's do it. Right? Tell that to young people. They all day, yeah, let's do it. But when you tell other people, no, let's invest in the future. Let's do some donations so I could do this stuff for free. They look at you like you're an alien.
I think there's a and I'll go back to the kind of like food distribution thing. Like I realized one thing is that people will help. People who always are eager to help always have their own side deal. Like I've done food pantries a lot, and I'll get, I work with I work with kids, I work with teenagers. So if I'm doing a food pantry, I get my teens out. My teens will come and they'll pack up bags of stuff, and then I'll get like these random like elders who like come in and they're very, like I see them all the time,
Yeah.
and they're very like helpful and all of a sudden, and then I look in the corner and there's like 4 bags in the corner and I don't know why they're there. And then when they're ready to leave, they go over and pick up all 4 bags and you're like, okay, what happened?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's hard, like the hardest thing, and I hate to say this, and I hate to say this as Black people, right?
It is what
We
it is.
have a horrible time supporting each other. Hear me, we suck
That's the curse.
at supporting each other. It is always something.
We find a reason not
Like-
to support.
Yeah,
That's but see, those are the
I don't like his stripes on his shirt.
Those are the curses that's untalked about, right? Because that's it's not only a problem, it's a tragedy.
But we've been pitted against each other from day one.
Yeah, but I think
I'm talking about from. Let me correct that. through our cultural tribes, right? That's something that's going on. Like people talk about slavery and they say blacks so other blacks. Well, they don't see themselves as black. They see themselves as a tribe, right? And they see yourself as a rival tribe, and they sold you, right? So now we here, and then we get here, and we mix with a bunch of other tribes. We can't speak our language, and in order this is an approach that a lot of us have. In order for us to move up, we got to step on the heads of some of us, right? And we see each other as competition. I don't see that myself. I don't operate that way. I'm like, yo, brother, how can I help you? Right? But other people's like, no, they're trying to take my job. So I gotta assassinate him, right? To make sure he don't take. And that's how it's like super protective. So we have been pit against each other all the way across the board. Men pit against women.
Yeah.
Everything. We have a fight that never ends.
And it's almost like the religious war. Like
Listen.
religious wars never end. I just feel like that's the same way now within the black community, because that's the whole propaganda now. Is the gender war,
Right.
you know, to
And it's being stoked hard. It's being stoked real hard. They
But
stoking the
it's
flame.
also it's always, but there's always been that like continual. How do we keep this group of people separated?
Mhm.
It's always been, let's find something else to argue about.
Right.
Here's the funny, like here's the thing. When AIDS came out, when AIDS was first kind of broadbanded to people, and people were knowing about AIDS, it didn't start out like people don't consume it with the LGBT community.
Right.
So, but before that, it was a black disease.
Right.
That's the thing. When we stop figuring out who the next group of people we need to start coming at or complaining about, it turned from it was a black person thing, and now it's an LGBTQ thing. And then in the midst of that, black LGBT and black straight people started corrupting each other because we associated with that disease the LGBT community.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why when you see things like when somebody says, hey, you have AIDS, the first thing somebody will say is, well, I'm not gay. That had nothing to do with the fact you.
Yeah, nothing.
Right.
Like, you sleep with hundreds of women, you sleep with hundreds of people, and you catch it, has nothing to do with the fact that you're gay.
Yeah. Or you share needles.
But
there you go.
But everybody needed somebody to blame.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the separation always comes from the stint of we can't, like I said, it goes right back to we can't blame ourselves.
Right.
We can't look and see our problem in the front.
Right.
So I gotta say, if I catch something, I'm not gay, because that would be the only logical explanation to keep me out of the real reason why I got this.
Right.
Which is because I was doing X, Y, and Z, and I got it.
And you didn't strap up.
I ain't strap up.
And
I was sharing needles with people.
Yeah, all the poor decisions.
Yeah, all my poor decisions led to me having
this. Going back to the victim.
And even back to the curse situation is we can't see our role in it. Right? Parents misraise their child and can't see that they may be at fault for misraising their child. Their child went astray, wanted to live the wild life. They can't accept that their decisions put them in the position that they're in, right? People are abusers, and they can't accept that they're an abuser because they may say, well, I was abused. Now, that's not saying I'm sorry for abusing you, right? If somebody says, yo, you abused me, the answer shouldn't be, well, I was abused as a kid, and then you start telling your story. That's not a monologue time for you, right? That's a time when you say, I'm sorry I made you feel this way. I'm sorry for abusing you. How can I make it better, right? But that conversation never happens. That's like a fairy tale conversation. We could make a movie about that, right? It's a fairy tale. Definitely. Because that never happens, right? Nobody comes to you and say they sorry because, like, I didn't hear that when I was growing up. But we cannot. I don't know what it is. I have to always evaluate and self-assess myself every day, right? I know where I came from, so I know I say if I'm telling a story. Am I telling an accurate story or am I making it up? I have to think about this stuff all the time because my family be lying. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be straight up. Like, they'll tell you some lies. So I hate that.
Uncle Elroy.
And I hate that, right? So I'm like, yo, I gotta make sure when I'm telling you my life story is I'm not making this stuff up. This is stuff like I'll put my sister on the phone and she'll be like, yeah, that happened. Yeah, that happened. Yeah, that happened. Right? Because I'm like, I get annoyed when they tell me stuff, and I'm like, are you telling me the truth or are you making it up?
It's always that question in one's behavior, but that's a lot of that go back to trauma, right?
Yeah.
Unaddressed trauma, where we question everything.
Yeah.
Like it's like kids that have abandonment issues, right? When they get older, they're still gonna have those abandonment issues because it's not really addressed.
And then they're gonna meet somebody, and then they might make like 15 babies.
And then the kid's gonna have the same issues. Like, and that's that curse. The question is, how do we get rid of the curse or eradicate it or reverse the curse?
It's like
those are things that we need to start talking.
first of all,
10 points.
it's like
This is 10 point, yeah.
it's like going to an AA meeting. The first thing you have to do is acknowledge the fact that you have a problem. Nothing will get done if you don't acknowledge the fact that you have a problem. Like, we will not change, the communities will not change if we don't recognize, even as a community, that we have a problem. See, the thing is that every time we turn around, we because we in victim mode all the time, we always finding somebody else to blame for things that we in conscious are, as a community, are in addition to or are contributing to this issue.
Yes.
You know, we could be. You're just as, and the reason I say in addition to is because you can be just as bad for not saying anything.
Well, silence is
You know what I'm
agreement.
saying?
Silence is
agreement.
Is agreement.
Silence is agreement. So like when we have this whole issue with trying to convince ourselves that it's somebody else's problem, so we ignore it, so we don't say nothing. But we don't realize that we're just as wrong for not saying anything about it as the people who are actually doing this, or the people who are actually contributing to the problem. And I think sometimes that what happens is that because we don't acknowledge our part in it, it's easy to just kind of fall into the wayside. Let somebody else do it.
Right.
We have this let somebody else do it mentality, and we have this I don't want to call it a curse as well, but it's this weird thing where we won't move unless somebody else tells us to move.
Well, let me.
And I'm not talking about white people.
Right.
Like, I feel like, you know, Kanye's my boy. I got nothing but love for Kanye. Some of the things I got nothing but love for you, Kanye. Some of the things he says, I'll be like, yo. But then you sit back and you go, yo, there's some type of sense in that. Like, it's out there.
Right.
But it comes. The problem is that because it's so out there, we don't acknowledge it.
Well,
we don't realize
it's gonna take light years to get to something.
It's gonna take some of us gonna take light, but we don't realize that it comes from some certain point of truth that we are either unwilling or just don't want to understand about it. So I'll say this: people were running, like, and I'll go back to slavery time. People were trying to run and escape, but were always getting caught. And then it took somebody like a Harriet Tubman
to help them out,
and to move them along,
not to get caught.
Teach them how not to get caught. But the problem is that even though we were trying, we got to a point where we just quit. We always get to a point where we're trying, it doesn't work our way, so we quit. And then we don't move anymore, and then we wait for somebody else to come and move, because now we no longer, we wash our hands with the problem.
They don't want the pressure of being in charge.
Yeah.
Right? Even like, so I was having a conversation with my students last night, and we were talking, and I said, some people are waiting for God to come out of the sky with an iron rod and strike down all the people who wronged us. He's not coming. What did you think you were made for?
Don't say that. The church is watching.
Listen. What did you think he made you for?
The church is watching.
Everything that he's not coming to strike down your enemies. Everything that you need is in you. He gave it to you. He created you. I believe in God. Don't be lazy and think it's somebody else's job to take care of you. and take care of your. And that's laziness.
That's a great point. It's a great point. Also, to go back to the whole victim thing, I think we're gonna have to hone on the victim thing, because
We have to have part two of that.
even when you look at recently with the police beating up the brother Tyree Nichols, they try to make it like a police issue. We know that there are effed up police out here, right?
Mhm.
To me, I thought it's just black on black crime, right? The victim, right? We need somebody to blame, right? So I'm gonna say police, even though they're black, they still the police. To me, that was self-hate for what we have against each other. Like, you take
I
the
would
badges
love to
off,
say,
you take the uniform off. We see it every day in our communities. We killing each other, we're shooting each other, we're beating each other. That's what that is, man. And I think that, like, we gotta focus on that point, the whole victim thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's the point. Go ahead.
Because I remember we had talked about this in an earlier podcast, which didn't air, but this idea that a life is worth nothing, one of our lives is worth nothing, even to us. When you kill somebody, and I want to say this to people out here, you are killing a universe. All of the cells, all of the biological systems is equivalent to a universe, and you killed it. They will never have their potential, right? We can't just look at people as a number or obstacle. That universe you killed could have had given birth to another universe. That whole line is gone. That's an ally in the struggle if you could unite. But if we start thinning the herd, just at a war of attrition, you're not going to win. There's not enough of us.
Yeah.
And this is the curse that we shoot ourselves in the foot, because we are so, some of the males are overly emotional and want to physically react to something that doesn't even require a physical reaction. It could be a conversation. But we jump to what? Boom, boom. And now all of this trauma comes out upon an individual, and now that individual is not alive. I've heard a term that just blew my mind. I heard a Caucasian say it, and it blew my mind that this term exists. He said, and we unalived him. That means you killed him. But we unalived him. That was the craziest thing I've ever heard, like conversation about death, right? Murder.
Yeah,
We
unalived.
unalived him. But part of this thing about us, I feel, is like we need to evolve quickly, because I believe that the clock is ticking, and every human being should grow every day. You should mentally grow. So let me tell you my growth that I've had within the past 3 years. My understanding. I don't want to say white people, because they are tribes who've been killing each other. You don't hear, I mean, you heard about it. You heard about the Romans and these people going around killing people
Oh, yeah.
who thought they were superior to other groups who also have pale skin, right? Same thing with us. We call ourselves black because we don't know how to really classify it. Tribes. What is your tribe? What's the name of your tribe? That's our challenge as people who call ourselves African American, Black foundational Americans. We have to find out who our tribe is, and I guarantee you, it's going to be a whole bunch of different tribes, right? But we got to find it, because that was cut off from us.
Yeah.
In the book, one group of people, they said, let us cut them off from being a nation. Who was that group of people? I'm not going to answer it. Y'all can put it in the comments. Who was the group of people that the scripture says, let us cut them off for being a nation? That's going to lead you to finding out who your tribe is, right? Because a lot of us don't know. We only know my grandmother picked cotton, and her grandmother picked cotton, and we were slaves. The Creator didn't create a group of people called slaves, didn't create a group of people called black, didn't create a group of people called white. Everybody's in their tribe. And everybody in the tribes, just because they look like this, doesn't mean they was engaged in that. That's the other thing we have to understand. Yes, there's systems that exist by people who died. And acknowledge the system. The system is still here. It's not letting nobody off the hook. But everybody's not guilty.
Yeah, definitely.
We have to understand that because we're hurt. When hurt, traumatized people, everybody's guilty. Everybody's a monster except you, right? Even though you doing stuff in your community just killing your people, you not a monster for some wild card reason, but everybody else is a monster. Before we start calling people monsters, look in the mirror.
Yeah.
Analyze what you're doing and if you a monster too. Because I guarantee you, if you start asking the people in your life that you have control over, they're probably going to call you the M word, monster. All right? Wanna
Got
wrap
anything
it?
to say, good brother?
Look, I think at a certain point in time, we as people of color have to kind of get ourselves into a different mentality in order for any of us to have some type of growth or movement. When I was kind of like you, when I seen the video of Tyree Nichols, and it dawned on me that there were cops. But when I seen the pictures of the cops, it was sad to me that I was like, yo, they're instantly going to get lynched. They're instantly going to get lynched. See, the problem we have is that even though people want to say, oh, we're all American, we all have the same rights and stuff like that, there is a divide that I think people just continually try to be blind to. And it shows up in weird ways. How many white cops that have killed black people have been charged and tried this quickly, prosecuted this quickly? You can't tell me because it's never happened. And and these 5 black men are now going to be the poster board to tell us as a black community, see, we're doing this, we're doing this for the community, we're doing this, look, and it's time for us to chill down until the next one happens.
Back to business.
The problem is that's one of the major problems we have is that we allow this to chill, like I kind of cool us down to the next one,
Right.
and we don't continue to do anything about it.
The pressure, the forcing of law. We
And please, I understand the reason for it, but standing in the middle of the street and yelling is not going to save us.
It's not.
It's not. It does bring light to situations, but you can protest till the cows come home. If nothing happens out of it, you were just standing in the middle of the street screaming.
But even with that, laws, there's a difference between laws and how the laws are carried out.
Yes.
And when it comes to us, the laws are carried out different way. They'll even get laws passed that something that happened to us by one way and then use that same law on us. You understand? So I mean, I get it, but I feel like people getting together and deciding that they're going to go in a direction, keyword, go in a direction that helps them and their community. Key phrase, them and their community. Because we're not doing that. You know, to get out there in the rally that's just expressing anger and grief, right? But that doesn't get a law passed.
Yeah.
Right? Local elections, I've been saying it forever. The local elections are more important than the presidential election. Young people are not getting out here, getting people out of office, getting the right people in office who represent their interests. Because old people vote for their interests, right? And people who've been in office too long, lifelong politicians, sometimes you need to get them out because they lost touch with the people. They don't know what the people are going through. We have to do a strategy. We should have some conversations with old and young. What do you want to do? Which direction we think we should be going? Tell me about your research that you have on this. Tell you about the research, and then make a decision. Okay, let's vote on the direction we want to go in. Everybody have a stake. Make a decision and stick to it. It's going to take some discipline. I know I said the D word. probably shouldn't say discipline. I know that's not within our culture, but it takes it, right? It takes discipline to make something happen. It takes dedication, another D word, oh boy. It takes dedication to make something happen, right? And we have to take this knowledge, take this information, take the participation, and plot a course and sell that course.
That's a huge facts. We want to say, if you're not at the table, you don't have a voice. That's the bottom line to this, man. If you're not at the table. But once again, thank you. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Also, leave a comment. Do you think black people are cursed, man? We want to know. Like,
yeah, we're gonna do a follow-up.
We want to follow up and have some more guest speakers on. Once again, my name is D. Chorus. This is a good brother.
Big Will.
And it's after elemental. Don't forget to tell me how old you think I am in the comments. I might give a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. Peace. Don't be hating. He said, all right.
Discipline and dedication. Listen to the word.
Peace.
Peace.